So, as you had heard me say at the end of the last chapter, I was going to put some POR on that rear bumper where it would be um, inaccessible or up against the inside of the frame, places that you wouldn't be able to get to externally. I wanted to coat that. So I also, after I did that, and I did do that, came over here and repainted POR on the inside of the frame rails. I also went on the outside of the frame rails because this where the shock mount had never been painted. So I just put a coat on that back here where the plates go into the bumper, and also up in the front where that external brace is going to go. I'll take you over and just show you the rear bumper and my boo-boo. And here is a rear bumper. I painted up along the top of this. I painted the outside and insides of where I had welded that bracket that goes back there. Of course, I painted that. I also painted this whole thing. When I painted the top of this thing, got runs down. I kind of brushed out the runs so that they wouldn't be noticeable, even though it's going to be sanded, but just so they wouldn't be noticeable. And then I thought, what the hell, as long as I'm here, might as well just put a coat of paint on that to get it. But there's my boo-boo. I had the 1 gallon of POR up there, and when I went to take it off, it caught maybe on them welding rods or something and just splashed down on the floor. So now I've got a round circle on the black floor. But anyways, I'll bring you back. I've got to get the Corvette is going in the morning over to get the alignment tire and inspection. So when that's out of here, after that's out of here, I will get this over and put back on the backside of the truck, maybe for the last time. I doubt that, but it possibly could be for the final installation of it on the rear of the truck. But I'll bring you back. Just a brief shot after I had put the POR on the inside edges of me getting it back over here and getting it ready to slide back in there. And here it is bolted on. Again, the POR is on there on the underside of it. I'm going to spray the rest of it. I still have to drill a hole in the back for the wiring harness to come out of the tube to go up to the truck. But it's taken care of. Now, the only thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to switch all of these bolts and nuts out to a little longer bolt. As you can possibly see there, I don't really have total thread engagement into the nut. So I'm going to be using lock washers, little longer bolts, and either grade 5 or 8 bolts are going to go in there. Same way with those two that hold the brace bracket onto it. But it's sturdy. But anyways, there we are this far. I guess the next thing to do is, like I said, drill that hole, get the wiring harness in there, and pulled out through the wires pulled out through the holes before it gets painted. I'm not sure. Maybe I'll stick the lights in there. I can always take the lights back out when I paint it, but just to have them in there. But anyways, I'll bring you back. As you can see, I started putting the lights in. I had both lights in, but I took the one back out again. I drilled that hole down there in the top of the tube, the 4-inch tube steel. I drilled that hole in there to run the wires out through. But that's why I took the light out. It kind of protrudes out. It just kind of hampered me getting the drill, or getting in the way of the drill. So I just pulled it back out again. I've got to feed the wiring harness through the tube. What I had planned on doing was being able to pull the two prongs for the button lights out through the holes. Well, I didn't actually make them long enough, but what I can do is put the bulbs in the harness. Yeah, I can put the bulbs in the harness, and why I was hesitated there, I was thinking, how am I going to replace them when I'm, yeah, but replacing them afterwards may be a little bit of a challenge if I have to replace any of the bulbs. I'm not really sure if the harness is going to be long enough to get it. It should be to get it over to the hole. But what I'm going to do is just tie a string around the bulb, pull the bulb through, and then I can put the grommet on. Put the grommet on afterwards. Yeah, yeah, I can do that. I'll get it. But anyways, it's just going to be a little bit of a challenge. I maybe should have put 3 of them in there. That would have given me access with my hand. I can't get my hand in through that hole and out. Another thing that could always happen is I could cut an access hole in the back of it. But it is going to be a little bit challenging. I should have thought that out a little bit more. Now I'm becoming like an auto engineer. Don't think and just do something. Let the mechanic work it out afterwards. Take the car totally apart to change a plug. So I got the vet back from getting a new tire, getting alignment, getting inspected. But I did not get a chance to spray this while the vet was out of the shop. But now that it's summer, I can leave the vet out for the day and do it, spray it. Why it's up on those ramps, those kind of homemade ramps. Long story about the lift. The lift doesn't fit under the car. And the jacking points, there's special jacking points on a Corvette that you have to have. So the jacking point is the spot where you'd have to put the lift. So I can't like jack it up and then swing the arm underneath it because the jack is in the exact spot where the lift would have to go. But anyways, I changed the oil on it. Yeah, I got it back and everything's good again. New tire. And again, what I'll do is spray that someday when it's I've got the vet out of the shop. So I just wanted to shoot a brief shot here and explain some things. I'm gonna throw a clip in here, the next clip, and it's about a repair on my trailer that I had to do. Nothing major, just I lost a mud flap and I can't figure out how it came off. Well, I can figure out how it came off. I'll show it to you in the clip. I just wanted to point out that I got grade 5 bolts and I'm starting to put them in there. But basically, I'm going to bring you back after the trailer clip and kind of explain to you why I haven't been posting a video like normal and some of the things that have been going on. I'm out in front of the shop and this is my trailer. What happened is I've been really busy the last week or so. I've made a bunch of hauls, but anyways, I noticed that I came back from a haul, one of the mud flaps was missing. And the way that they're attached to it, the original design was they took a piece of chain, a couple of links of chain, and welded one of the links to the bottom of one of the cross members. They welded 3 links on each side to the bottom of a cross member, and then attached a mud flap to the link that was hanging down. Actually, there was 2 links hanging down so that it would be in the right orientation of it, and then attached it to that. They came off. What happened is the link over time actually broke, just wore right down to absolutely nothing and broke, and that's probably the reason why it came off. But anyways, yeah, go ahead, go. You gonna go? Yeah. Anyways, I had to put a mud flap on, and without reinventing the wheel, I had to somehow attach it to that existing link that was welded onto the bottom of the trailer without getting out here and refabricating something different for me. I need to, it's Memorial Day weekend, and I have to go on a haul Tuesday morning, have another haul Wednesday morning, and then I have a funeral that I have to be to on Wednesday afternoon in Syracuse, which is like 160, 170 miles away from me. Anyways, that's just some of the stuff that I've been doing. I'll put more stuff up in the videos, but not a lot of work has gotten done on the truck and the bumper and stuff like that, but I'll take you over there and show you kind of where we're at. So one of the big challenges with the truck, rebuilding this truck, is the electrical system. And I've kind of showed you the workbench that I've got set up to make wiring harnesses and do wiring for the truck here. But one of my biggest issues is I'm dealing with, again, a 1974 Ford truck, which used incandescent bulbs and everything like that. And my new scenario is in the back of the truck and with the trailer is going to be all LEDs. Now, I'm not saying that I won't be switching out the LEDs in the front of the lights in the front of the truck to LEDs. I haven't got that far. I'm not sure what's available as far as like. So let me just back up here a minute. Part of my thing that I want to do is try and keep the cab of the truck, not the sleeper, but the cab and the front end of the truck as conventional as possible, or as close to being original as possible. I know once you get past that cab and into the sleeper and then back, it's all going to be different. But I would like to keep the front end of the truck, the grills, the light layout, stuff like that, as original as possible. And original was incandescent light bulbs. Now in the back of the truck, because I had to redo the back of it, the bumper and everything that is related to that, I'm going to put in LED bulbs. But here is where the issue begins. Adapting LED bulbs, LED wiring harness into a truck that originally had conventional wiring. And when I say conventional wiring, I mean wiring for incandescent light bulbs. I had a guy come in here the other day, came into my shop. He comes in maybe once a year or something like that. But he was into, he is into, he's retired. He's into all sorts of things. I think one of the main reasons that he comes in is because of the machining equipment, mills, lathes, and stuff like that. But he came in here the other day. He's into um, building older cars and stuff like that, and I was talking about the wiring harness, and he says, "Oh, that's not a problem at all." And then I was telling him how the lights, there's only three wires running to the rear lights, and the brake and tail light are through the same wire. And he says, "That's not possible." This is before he found out that I was using LEDs. He says it's absolutely not possible to do that. And I says, "Well, yeah, it is." And I showed him the light. And he says, "Oh, they're LEDs." And he says, I don't know anything about LEDs, but he says on a regular car, on an old classic car, you have separate wires for the brakes and the turn signal. Thus, the problem of backfeeding is kind of eliminated that way because you have a different circuit for those two things. My big problem is where the LED lights that go to the trailer from the through the trailer plug and are in my backup, not backup lights, but the brake and turn signal lights in the rear of the truck on the LEDs. How is that going to work with incandescent bulbs in the front of the truck? How do you wire it so it doesn't backfeed? Like, if I hit the brakes, it wouldn't backfeed into the turn signals onto the incandescent thing in the front. So, again, and I've kind of briefly talked about this before, I was going to try and find some literature, wiring diagrams, stuff like that, and try and figure out how to not have that happen. I had showed you, I think, before that I had bought a couple of books on automotive wiring, and really they're nothing. I mean, basically, I kind of know. I mean, I've wired my trailers, I've done stuff like that, wired instruments into trucks and stuff like that, gauges, things like that. Basically, this is what these books are for. But it doesn't tell you the fundamental things of how relays work or why you should use relays or how to use them or what they actually do. So I found this book, and I've got to tell you, I think it's on chapter 6. I'm only up to chapter 6. There's a lot of chapters in this book, but this book is a great book. He goes into detail starting with basic stuff and kind of, if you're not an electrician and you don't know a lot about electricity, he kind of relates it to mechanical things. In this case, he'll relate electric current to like water flow and water pressure and stuff like that. Yeah, and so that you kind of get an idea of what he's talking about without kind of drawing a blank because he's only talking about wiring and circuits and how wiring and electricity flow. Great book. I haven't gotten to, there's a whole chapter on relays, so hopefully my question about relays, if they have diodes built into the relays to keep it from backfeeding into other circuits, will be answered in this book. But I haven't gotten that far, but I'll let you know about it. But anyways, that's one of the hang-ups that I have, and I've discussed this before about the wiring and me kind of putting pauses on things, because one of the things that I don't want to happen is I build a wiring harness for the back of the truck and get it completed, and only to find out once I start tying it into existing wires up in the cab, if I use the existing wires, tying it into the existing wires, that I have not run enough wires to the back of the truck. Yeah, granted, I could always make another harness and run to the back of the truck to supplement whatever I may need, but that would only create huge headaches for anybody that had to work on it in the future, trying to figure out why, say, a separate turn signal wire wasn't run in the original harness. And I'm only using that as an example. I'm not saying it would happen, but as an example. Hopefully I'll get through this. I'm tied up with a bunch of other things, which I'll address in a little while, but yeah, that's why one of my pauses, not the only pause, but one of the pauses, I have been doing a lot of hauling and other things, and I'll bring that up in a minute. Okay, in that last clip where I talked about the electric, I talked about pauses that I had to make in doing this, and a lot of it has to do with hauls that I had to make. I am gonna throw up some pictures in here as I kind of walk around the shop and talk to you. One of the things that the pauses from pulling off of this project and not being able to work on it was, they're down the street from where I'm located is a gym. Now this gym isn't a typical gym. They cater to athletes. And do strength building and stuff like that for different sports. One of the things that they just added was a basketball court. They added a new building as a basketball court, and I know the landlord. The landlord of my building also owns those buildings down there too, and they wanted him to install a large screen TV. Now, they originally wanted a scoreboard in this basketball court, but the scoreboard was way too expensive, so what they wanted to do is put up a large screen TV and use that a program on that through that screen to keep scores of kind of games that they have. But anyways, make a long story short, my grandson Matt hangs a lot of TVs and for people. So we got him involved in it because they also needed a cage to go over the outside of the TV, so basketballs didn't hit it. Basketballs didn't hit it unintentionally or intentionally. So we ended up doing that, and as I said, I'm going to throw some pictures up here. But we had to put the TV up, and then we had to make a cage to go over the TV so that it wouldn't interfere with visually seeing the TV. But anyways, we had to do that. Then I had a haul I had to make, and it was a generator, and they wasn't far. I had to pick the generator up not far from here in a place called Salamanca, New York. And Salamanca is a kind of a funny little, I'm not sure if it's a city or big village, whatever it is. I think it's actually a city. But Salamanca, the city of Salamanca, is located on an Indian reservation, and you don't own the property or businesses there. The land is owned by the Indians, and you lease it on a 99-year basis. And then the same way with residential houses are all done like that. But I had to go down there, pick up a generator, and then take it down to Pennsylvania to the guy that I haul generators for. But the funny thing was on this, and I'm going to throw a picture up here. I left kind of early in the morning or earlier in the morning, probably around 5 o'clock or 4 or 5 o'clock, so that I would be down there at 7 o'clock. I walked out the door and found these little drawings by a kid outside of my door, back door, to get out of the house, my apartment. And I didn't know who they were made by. I still don't know who they were made by, but I'm pretty sure it's my next door neighbor's kids. Left him there. So anyways, I went down to Salamanca, picked up that generator, and then took it down to Pennsylvania and dropped it off to my friend that I do hauling for on generators. And on the way back, I got a phone call that my sister-in-law had died, and it was very unexpected. But you know, it's kind of ironic that I get these pictures out there in front of my door, and then on the way back from that haul, I get the phone call about my sister-in-law dying. So, anyways, to go on, then I had to make a couple of other hauls. The first haul was up to a military base north of Watertown, New York. Watertown is at the east end of Lake Ontario, just west of the Adirondack Mountains. It's probably, you could consider Watertown the foothills of the Adirondack Mountains. But north of it is a military base called Fort Drum. Another guy that I do a lot of hauling for with electrical equipment bought just a bunch of stuff up there at an auction, and I'll put pictures here of the trailer there. The stuff that I got in that load was not anything to do with electrical. It was tools and just all sorts of, there was a bandsaw on there and a whole bunch of other stuff. Now I have to go back to that place, but I went up there on a Thursday, I think it was, and got that. And then on Friday, I had to go to Ohio and pick up some high voltage electrical equipment, and I'll throw those pictures in here right now. So that was the Friday before the Memorial Day weekend, and I had the previous shots that I told you that it was the Memorial Day weekend. So this is Monday of Memorial Day weekend, and tomorrow I have to go back to Fort Drum and pick up more equipment, and some of it is going to be electrical equipment. I have to finish up, there's a bunch of welding rod ovens that I have to pick up, and cabinets, and then there's some electrical equipment, high dollar value electrical equipment that I'm going to probably be taking. Maybe a small electric motor. When I say small, I think it's like 100 horsepower electric motor. But there's also a bunch of other electric motors up there in the 1,000 horsepower range that have to be gotten, but that's probably going to have to be taken out on a semi, a flatbed semi. There's 3 of them. They probably weigh in the neighborhood of 18,000 pounds apiece or so. But anyways, there's that. Then, so this is going to be Tuesday. Then Wednesday, I've got to make a steel haul, stainless steel, down to a new cheese plant that they're building south of me. I've made some hauls down there before, but that's Wednesday morning. I've got to make that steel haul Wednesday morning, and then I come back and I've got to get cleaned up, and my grandson and his wife and daughter are going to go with me, and we have to go into Syracuse to my sister-in-law's funeral. But anyways, I have been pretty busy, and I'm still pretty busy, and not really a lot of chances to get working on this truck. But that's going to do it for this chapter of the haul truck build. I'll bring you back next time. But thanks for watching, guys. Hit that like button, subscribe.